Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reports that Fissure 8 continues to be very active and is feeding a lava channel to the ocean at Kapoho. The flow is producing a broad ocean entry along the shoreline and continues to expand into the Kapoho beach lots and the Four Corners intersection. The following policies remain in effect. Four Corners and Kapoho beach lots are closed to any access. Be aware that spillovers of the channel and other breakouts are possible on the active flow field. Do not access the active flow field due to extreme hazard. The National Weather Service report potential thunderstorms this evening and tomorrow for Lower Puna. Due to the potential thunderstorms, the following advisories are issued. Be aware of lightning. The best place to be is indoors. Expect possible interruptions in your utility services. Be on the alert for malfunctioning traffic signals. Please treat flashing traffic lights as a four-way stop. Hawaii Police Department reports one lane of Highway 11 remains closed at the 30-mile marker near Volcano Golf Course subdivision due to a large sinkhole. An assessment will be performed to determine the status of the road. Reminder, disaster assistance is available island-wide to individuals and businesses in Hawaii County that have been affected by the Kilauea eruption. Starting Saturday, the Disaster Recovery Center will be open daily from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. weekends and 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays. The center is located at the Keao High School gym. If you need a ride, buses run between the two shelters and the Disaster Recovery Center. For more resources to help you recover from this disaster, please visit the county website. Additionally, the Salvation Army is operating a distribution center at the Pahoa Community Center on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. If you have items you wish to donate, please coordinate with the Salvation Army at 808-756-0306. We're on watch 24 hours a day for your safety. This is your Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency.
Evacuees is now home to about a dozen of them, most elderly or handicapped.
The tiny houses are giving them their own space, something they haven't had since being forced to flee months ago.
You've got 62 feet wide.
Kuala Tapo has her own home again. Micro-unit Hope 9. The 77-year-old evacuated from the Lower Puna area right after the fissures started in May. She's been in the Pahoa shelter since.
It was heaven for a while, just, But with those cots, they move and, squeak, and you got to climb in and out of them. And if you've got a bad back, it's the last thing you want to sleep on.
She now has a bed and is able to wash clothes.
It's a luxury just to have a screen door.
She is one of about a dozen already settled in at the Sacred Heart Church micro home village that took only about a month to build, using an army of volunteers and donated supplies.
This is something else, isn't it? I don't know. No words, it's incredible. Just got so much love in their hearts. It just, I don't know how to describe it.
Edward Grant was one of the first to move in. He chose Unit Hope 6. It wasn't just lava that prompted him to leave the area. It was the sulfur dioxide.
We were getting gas and stuff, and there's people living there who are like, hardcores, and they don't want to leave.
Grant calls the units cabanas. They all have electricity and provide privacy. It's a growing village that is making headlines not for the size, but for the ability to quickly meet needs.
Laundry balls.
Yeah.
I've never used these before. They're just pure soap or something.
A handicap-accessible community bathroom and shower station is almost complete. In the meantime, the residents are taking hot showers in a donated mobile hygiene trailer.
This is luxury. This is luxury.
Just, if we could, we're going to start our program. Just a little history. So this event is a culmination of over 20 years, maybe plus, and really started back in the 60s. And through the many efforts of many of you in this audience and those who came before us, we have this very special day to celebrate something that has been long overdue, but in a way, faith has it, because we really need to revitalize Hilo in these other activities that are happening on our island. So faith allowed us the opportunity to have the timing of this event when we need it the most, which is the economic revitalization of East Hawaii. So with that being said, we have a very long list of distinguished guests, and we'd like to start with that and opening our program. To start with, we have the Honorable Governor David Ige. I am very pleased and happy to see we have our Honorable Mayor Harry Kim. We have the County of Hawaii Managing Director, Will Okabe. We have the County of Hawaii Council Chairperson, Valerie Poindexter. We have the County of Hawaii Councilwoman Sue Liloy. We have a typo, but I think this next one needs to be council person. But the County of Hawaii Councilman Aaron Chung. We're also pleased to have today County of Hawaii Planning Director Michael Yee. And his Deputy Planning Director Darren Arai. On the state side, we have State Representative Joy San Buenaventura. State Representative Richard Onishi. State Representative Mark Nakashima. And beside him, State Representative Chris Todd. From the Senate, we have State Senator Kaeli Kahele. We have State Senator Lorraine Inouye. And we're privileged to have State Senator President Ron Koichi. In addition, today, we are fortunate to have our Board of Land and Natural Resources members, Stan Roick and Chris Ewan. We're also privileged to have former Governor John Waihee in the audience today. We also have Chief of Staff to the Governor, Mike McCarthy. Well, we'll find them. We also have the Governor's East Hawaii liaison, Dennis Fresh Onishi. You see Dennis? He's probably on Hilo time, but that's okay. We'll catch him later. We have distinguished members of the East Hawaii business community that also joined us today. We have the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce President, Gordon Takaki. We have Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry President Steve Ueda. We also have Portuguese Chamber of Commerce President Will Lee. We have the Hawaii Island Contractors Association First Vice President Justin Smith. And the Hawaii Island Economic Development Board Executive Director Jackie Hoover. I didn't see Jackie yet, but perhaps she's on her way. We have the Banyan Drive Hawaii Redevelopment Agency, but I didn't see Brian here, so he's not here right now. Hawaii Islands Realtors Association's Executive Officer is Kehalani Costa here? No, okay. But we do have Imilo Astronomy Center Executive Director Kaeo Kimura. And we have the Grand Nanilo Hotel and Tower Development President Stuart Miller. And then we have some additional KIA key members that played a critical role in this bill's success. We have Kerry Umamoto, right there. Jason Fujimoto. Mr. Jim McCulley. Mr. Craig Takamine. And Garth Yamanaka. And I did see Garth. I think, oh, he's right there. So I want to run past this because we have a lot of people here that are more worthy of speaking and giving you some insight to what happened. But, you know, this area came about because of the 1960 tsunami. And at that time, almost, there was no development. Everything was on bayfront. And for some businesses, as Mike will exude, they went through two very devastating natural disasters. So that started it. Then 61, the legislature, through special legislation, opened up this area for relocation. And at that time, unbeknownst to us, we didn't realize that this would be the hub of the East Hawaii business vitality. Then, in 1968, KIAA was formed. Currently, based on the DLNR report that Munikio and Hiraga did back in 2015, they identified 79 properties that are leased in this area with 70 lessees. KIAA in this particular area has over 300 plus businesses and employs over 4,000 people. So it is the center of the economic hub of East Hawaii. I guess it just does not want to stay on the table. I guess Governor is saying, sign me quick. Well, you know, the good thing about life, if there's no humor in it, it's not worth living. But that being said, you know, one of the most difficult and unforeseen scenarios was the statutory land reform issues, which again was unintended, but due to the course of time and how we are here today, which created some of the issues that this bill will be addressing the opportunity to right. So as I mentioned, this has been a 20-year endeavor, but more importantly, the last 8 years, through some of us who've had some very trying experiences in deciding what to do with our leasehold improvements, and through championing especially with Jim McCulley and getting us together to be able to realize that, you know, Hilo's a special place. When there's a problem, you get people together, talk story, and you figure out a way how to do something. One of the challenges with Hilo, they think we're kind of slow and we don't react to change, but that's contrary to the fact that we're just at times, I think, a little bit too polite in how we ask for things. And I think we still did it. We still were polite, but persistent. And through the diligence of past legislative sessions, we're able to get, for the first time in 20 years, the legislature to actually take up the subject. And so for that, we really appreciate Jim's leadership. The other thing that it was really important, it was all about economic revitalization and giving us the opportunity to self-help. So in other words, given the tools in the toolbox, we believe that we could revitalize our industry and our businesses to be able to meet the necessary demands of the current, the near future, and the future beyond. So I think it's really important to understand that these are many, many hands, and a lot of people in this audience made it possible to have what we have today. Again, it's revitalizing an economic tool to assist East Hawaii to be able to compete so that we are able to keep our community vibrant. With that, I'd like to call up Mike Fujimoto, the chairman and CEO of HPM.
Thank you, David. David, did you bring my speech? You know, it seems like just yesterday that I was one of the younger guys in the audience. But now, whenever my staff needs some history, they turn to me. You know, it's a new life, and I'm just really glad to be able to share a little bit of history with you. And, you know, to all the very distinguished guests here today, welcome to Hilo. You know, welcome to HPM, and welcome to the Big Island. One thing I did want to share, especially for those of you not from here, not from the Big Island, is that Big Island people are resilient. And they have a character which, in Japanese they call it gaman. In English it's called perseverance. You know, for many, many years, Big Islanders had to deal with a lot of adversity, whether it be tsunamis, whether it be earthquakes, lava flows, hurricanes, you name it. But the one thing that I believe allows the Big Island to continue to grow and to thrive is that on this island, the people help each other. We learn to work together to help each other out in times of adversity. And so I'm really proud to be, you know, a fourth generation, you know, a member of the Big Island, and you know, really want to, you know, share with you today that, you know, HPM itself has gone through a lot of adversity. You know, my great-grandfather formed HPM downtown Hilo, you know, near that Chevron gas station on the Makai side of the road back in 1921. In 1946, tidal wave came and kind of wiped out half the building. And so my father, who had just come back from military service in the university, in 1955, built a brand new facility, and we thought which would be a safe area on the Mauka side of Kamehameha Avenue. Well, the 1960 tidal wave surprised all of us. And you know, that wave from street level to the debris line on the coconut trees on Kamehameha Avenue right in front of HPM were 38 feet high. So that's how big that surge came in. You know, inventory and parts of HPM were found way up Wailoa River. You know, about 1,500, 2,000 yards way up there. And that's how powerful that wave was. But you know, my grandmother, I remember vividly, because I was an 8-year-old little kid in the parlor, and my grandmother begged my father, said, "Bobby, just give it up. Too much bad stuff happened to this company, just give it up." And I remember she was crying, my father was sitting on the sofa, looking straight ahead, and he told her, "No, Mom, HBM is going to continue, we're going to rebuild, we're going to continue on and survive." And you know, and thanks to a lot of help from our community, thanks to our state of Hawaii, HBM was able to rebuild on this site exactly where we are today. Back in 1961, we were one of the original lessees, for this property here, for this whole redevelopment area. And we went through our 55-year lease back in 2016. We're fortunate to get a 10-year extension. But there's a lot we want to do to this site. There's a lot of improvements that need to be done. And now with this new Senate bill, thanks to Kai, and thanks to Governor, we are going to be able to continue, HBM for another 100 years, hopefully. And so we're really excited about our future. And I really wanted to point out some pictures. There's some old pictures back there behind the ladies. And you will see a picture of this exact building, this exact parking lot, 57 years ago, when we opened this HBM facility. And you'll see a picture of Governor Quinn, who was there, with my father and with the others blessing this site. And so today, 57 years later, 7 governors later, we have Governor Ige that's going to bless us, by signing this bill for all of us in Hilo today. So I just want to thank you all for, this opportunity. And I also wanted to point out, Governor, that we really appreciate your personal interest in meeting with our guys here at KIAA, meeting with the lessees. Governor came down here twice to meet with us on his own nickel, right, Governor? And just for a specific meeting time to meet with us. And he listened to our concern, and we really appreciate all of that. I also want to really thank Kai for the bill, and all of the legislatures, including Representative Todd, for supporting this bill throughout. And as David said, this is a very historic day. So just want to thank our mayor and his office and our council for that continued support, and certainly the DLNR. We are in about a month from now, on August 8th, HBM will be celebrating our 97th anniversary, 97 years. And I just wanted to share that we really want to thank all of you for allowing us to be around that long. And now with this bill, this facility in Hilo will be able to be continually improved to better service our community. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Oh, hold on, Mike, you extra eyes. So we have a little bit to go. We've only been in business for about 65 years, so we got a little bit of catching up. We're not as resilient as Mike's dad. And so, he's a testament to the resiliency of people in Hilo and HBM. So for that, Mr. Fujimoto, thank you. Our next person I'd like to call up is our own Representative Chris Todd. Rep.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Can everyone hear me in the back? Okay. Well, I just want to thank you for all being here today. And I think that, this group we have gathered in front of us is a pretty good representation of how long this effort has been. And I think Mr. DeLuz alluded to it being over 20 years. And when we were kind of nearing the point where this was looking like it might actually happen, I actually had a brief conversation with my dad, and he talked about working on this in the 90s. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, something like that at the time. And I think it's really interesting that if you look at the legislature as it currently stands, myself and Senator Kai over here, you're probably second or third youngest senator. I'm the third youngest now, going to be the second youngest member of the House. And I think what that means is, neither of us have that background in land use. That's not where we came from. I went into the legislature knowing about fish and football and not much else. So with that, going through my first session, getting thrown into it like that, it required, learning a lot on the fly and kind of educating myself. But a larger part of that comes from, really valued members of the community who took the time to be patient with me, someone who didn't really have that background, and try to educate me on some of the finer points and make me seem slightly more competent, which I really appreciate. And with that, I think out of, the dozens, probably actually hundreds of people who've worked on this over the last couple decades, and who really made the final push this year to move this forward. From our community, I think in particular, Jim McCulley has invested at least hundreds of hours into this over the last 2 years, not only in just repeated conversations with us and trying to track things and provide input, but also in providing a lot of that expertise that I certainly lacked, and as we've seen this bill evolve over time. And then I don't think a lot of people are aware, but pretty much I think the day that this bill got voted out of conference, we actually had a last-minute visit from Jason Fujimoto. And he was between flights. He had like a 4 or 5 hour layover in Honolulu. And he came to the Capitol. He took me out to lunch, got some quality dim sum. And then we met with the House leadership, because that was one of the important last hurdles. We had a lot of support on the Senate side from Senate President Kochi, from Ways and Means Chair Donovan Dela Cruz, and we really needed that House leadership on board, and he played a really vital role in kind of providing that public face for a lot of our efforts. So I just wanted to thank everyone who was involved that way. We also got a lot of support along the way, in particular from Councilmember Leloy, who flew up to the Capitol regularly, along with Planning Director Yi. I think he's here somewhere. So there were a lot of moving parts, and it took a lot of everyone coming together to actually show the legislature and the leadership there that how big of a priority this was, and that even if there was some dissent up in Oahu, that the Hilo community was really united behind this. And I think that's really powerful, because that's really unusual to have that sort of unity for something like this, which is a land use bill, right? Not the most stimulating topic necessarily. And then I think, beyond that, I think that for those of you who don't get to see Kai operate at the Capitol, I think he's without a doubt the hardest working person in the legislature. And I have no idea how he finds the energy to do everything he does at the Capitol, but then somehow balance a young family, which I'm super struggling with right now because I'm 3 weeks into it. And I don't know how you do it with that, and flying in the National Guard, and looking like you're 25 years old and all that kind of stuff, right? But a lot of energy was expended, a lot of political capital by everyone involved. And then, ultimately, I think this felt touch and go the entire way through the process. And it has felt that way for at least a dozen years. And, prior to even 2-3 weeks ago, we were really uncertain, and it really took that last step, from Governor Ige, who provided a lot of leadership on this, who took a personal interest, like Mr. Fujimoto said, going back to last year after we had, maybe a disappointing end result at the end of last session with the way things just kind of worked out. So I know we really appreciate you taking a personal interest in this. And I know that it wasn't a simple decision for you, given the conversations we had with a lot of people from within that state administration. So we really appreciate you going out of your way to do us a favor, I guess is how I'd phrase it. And I'm really hopeful that this can be something that's transformational for Hilo. I think being on Oahu for the first time for this length of time has really put Hilo into perspective for me. You know, I didn't, it's the longest I've been away from home, really. And I think I really got a picture as to how unique Hilo is. You know, when we go to celebrations over here that celebrate the 100th anniversary of a company, and that happens kind of regularly, that's a really unique aspect of Hilo. And I hope that this finds a way to preserve that. And then the last thing I'd like to share is about a month and a half ago, me and Kai had a town hall. And we spent a good chunk of that time dedicated to this bill, because it's not something that maybe has captured the public's imagination. Because like I said, it's kind of dry. You know, it really has a huge impact on the business community, but if you're not actively aware of it, you know, it's not something that you're paying attention to, I guess. And I was really surprised because we had a really wide range of people in the crowd, people who were, you know, we'd probably classify as being maybe anti-development or more a conservationalist and that sort of thing. But after being able to explain the bill and what this has the potential to do, they were asking what they can do to help. And I think that's a super rare thing to find on a bill like this. And I'm hopeful that that represents how unified our community is behind this, especially in the wake of the economic distress that we are currently going to face and we might be facing over the next few months. I think this has the potential to kind of stir things up for the better. So I just wanted to thank everyone who's involved with making this happen over the years, and people who I haven't given credit to because I probably don't even know we're working on this over the years. And just thank you for being here at you know, kind of last minute notice and being a part of it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is no other than Senator Kahele. Senator?
Aloha. Thank you for coming. You know, what a great special day here in Hilo. Mahalo, Senate President, for flying all the way from Kauai to join us here in Hilo. It's great to see everybody. You know, the economic engine of Hilo, East Hawaii, our economy. You know, most of us all here provide the jobs for our families and the future for our keiki. You know, looking at that photo and seeing Mr. Fujimoto right here on this site, you know, really drives home how special this moment is right now, and how this is a new start for East Hawaii. Chris and I are relatively young in the legislature, and so I don't forget the other individuals that blazed the trail so that we could be here today, like Representative Richard Onishi, Representative Nakashima, Representative Sam Buenaventura, Senator Inouye, that for many, many years have been working on this. Two individuals not here today. Late Representative Cliff Suji, my dad, Senator Gil Kahele. I knew nothing about the KIAA. My dad educated me about the issue in 2014 and 2015 and 2016 when 70% of all the lessees needed 10-year extensions, like Hilo Fish Company. I remember him talking to me about that one evening, about getting the lease extension for Kerry and the Umamoto family and Hilo Fish. One of the reasons I put in to be appointed to continue my dad's legacy was for some of the really important issues that he wanted to get done. This is one of them right here. And whether or not my appointment was for 2 years or I get to spend the next 20 years in the state senate, delivering this bill for East Hawaii and for Hilo was one of my top priorities when I put in the appointment, and I'm so honored, Governor Ige, you gave me the chance to do that. So I just wanted to remember the individuals that came before us and the ones that allowed you know, this moment to happen today. I really believe this is a game changer for Hilo. Not only will we allow our lessees to extend their leases and invest in East Hawaii, we're also going to create the Hilo Community Economic District, which working with Mayor Kim and his administration and the revitalization of Banyan Drive is going to do fantastic things for Hilo. And my dream and my goal is that my 2-year-old daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, Chris's 3-week-old daughter, can look at Hawaii Island and look at East Hawaii as a place to grow up, get a quality education, go to the University of Hawaii at Hilo, and turn around and get a great, good-paying job right here in Hilo and never look at anywhere else to go to raise their families and be that next future generation for us. So With that being said, thank you all so much, and thank you for coming. Mahalo.
Mahalo. We have the privilege today to have Senate President Ron Koichi, and we'd like to invite him to say a few words.
Aloha. And it's Ron Koichi, but it gets butchered all the time, so I take no offense. I'd like to begin by simply saying that my grandfather, Daniel Nelson, was born and raised in Hilo. My mom, Carolyn, was born and raised in Honoka'a. She was a high school classmate of Taka Domingo, a high school classmate of Council Chair Poindexter's parents. Her older sister, Barbara, was a classmate of Frank DeLuz. And my uncle, Peter Nelson, is a longtime teacher and volleyball coach at Hilo High. So we joke at the Capitol that the Big Island has 4.5 senators, not 4. The other thing that excites me listening to the speeches is I can't wait to meet the polite people from Hilo. Because let me tell you how rude that Senator Kahele and Senator Inouye are to me every week. We belong to a group of 10 votes that are called the Opihis at the Capitol because we stick together and we never give up. And every Wednesday, when session ends, we have lunch. And we have our list of our priority bills so that we check in with each other so we can help each other carry our bills through. And these two guys, every week, what are you doing about KIAA? What about Banyan Drive? What's happening? President, are you on this? Yes, I'm on this. The next week, same thing, top of the list. Senator Inouye, Senator Kahele, what are you doing? So finally, I had to tell Jason, can you come to the Capitol for a meeting? I asked the Speaker, I need to get Kahele and Inouye off my back. Can you come to this meeting with Jason so that they'll go back and say, wow, you know, the President and the Speaker talked to us. This is really important. And then the next week they said, what are you doing about KIAA? What are you doing about Banyan Drive? And that's the kind of representatives that you have at the state capitol in the Hawaii State Senate. And most importantly, in the leadership block that they belong to, they are able to deliver for you. I've had the opportunity to preside as president in 3 legislative sessions. And this year is the first time in 3 sessions that I had to walk in and talk to a committee chair and tell the committee chair, I am taking the bill out of your committee. The Waterland chair had strong feelings about wanting to get, in his mind, the best deal for the state. And he was very uncomfortable with how the bill was structured. And we tried so many different drafts of the bill to try to see the middle ground, but it didn't exist. And I didn't call in this chip for Kauai, which is my district and a pretty resilient place itself. But I called in the chip for Hilo. And you can talk about the economic revitalization which is going to come. And you can talk about the business which is going to increase. But the reason why I disagreed with the Waterland chair and the reason why I went in for the first time and pulled a bill out of a committee chair's hands is the fundamental part that needs to be in the bill that I was fighting for, that Kai was fighting for, that Lorraine was fighting for on the Senate side, is not the ability to negotiate, reinvest, do all of this stuff for a business. We did it so that the people who make up the business would be able to choose to stay. It is the people that are the fabric of this community that will continue to make Hilo great. And it's only by having a bill that ensures that the most valuable thing that we have here, the people of Hilo, will continue to be able to run their businesses, support the charities, support the schools, and all of the groups in their community. And the reason why this was so impressed upon me is every time Jason came up, and even when we sat with Chair Rhodes to talk about why the bill needs to be this way, he would always end by saying, but what am I going to do for my employees? I have 100 lives that we are responsible for. And I need to go back to Hilo, look them in the eye, and let them know that their future is still here, their job is still here, their future is secure, and they will be able to take care of their families. So I'm really glad to be here, and I hope after today, I will meet a polite Senator Kahele and a polite Senator Inouye. Thank you.
Oh, Senator, I apologize. So that was my Portuguese side. So I'm gonna go back to my Japanese side now. You know, well, so you know, so my Japanese side will make the correction. Senator Kouchi. With that being said, it's a privilege to now present Governor David Ige in the signing of the bill.
Thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. It was really great to hear some of the history of this area from Mike and so many others. I just really wanted to talk a little bit about my side of the story. So finally the legislature concludes and the bill is passed. And then I get a note from the Attorney General that at the top of the veto list is Senate Bill 3058. You know, and I have to say, I met with Jason and a number of you, Jim, last year as we were working through this. And I really got to understand the history of Kanoe Lehua industrial area and the challenges in this community that they see each and every year because of the uncertainty, because of the business uncertainty that has been created because of the way the state manages its lands. It has nothing to do with the businesses. It really is about the way that the state chose to manage leases in this area. So certainly I was concerned, and yes, I did have the opportunity and wanted to thank the number of you who had met with me on my visits to Hilo. You know, I was coming over to meet with the mayor and talk about some of the challenges of the eruption and some of the planning that we were doing to keep the community safe and really move forward. So I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to meet in between those meetings to talk about the challenges of this measure. I learned a lot, and I knew a lot. And certainly, I have been committed to solving the challenges of Kanoe Lehua industrial area. It's clear the way that the state manages the existing laws on the books make it very difficult for businesses to be committed, to be willing to make investments in this environment. It just doesn't work. So it didn't take a whole lot because I understood how important this measure was to all of you. But you know, it's even more than that. And I just really wanted to thank Mike, Jason, Bobby. You know, as we were working through the challenges of Puna and working through the concerns of the people who have lost their homes in Puna, it was really HPM, Darrow that really stepped forward, and in spite of the uncertainty, said, as a community, we really need to do something for the people affected by the lava flow. And they went to Harry and they talked about what is it can HPM do? And all the roadblocks go up, right? And Harry took care of all the county roadblocks about why we couldn't do and make and create an opportunity better for those who lost their homes in Puna. And so I understand, and that really is why this measure is so important, not only to Hilo, but to the entire state, It really is a story about community, about resiliency, about how important business stability, business success is to our entire community success. You know, without the Kanoa industrial area and the businesses that thrive here and the jobs that they create and the people they employed, we would not have much of an economy here in East Hawaii. And there wouldn't be the resilience in this community that allows us to recover from the most devastating eruption in the history of the area. So I am so proud to be here in Hilo. And thank you, David, for ordering the Hilo rain and the Hilo welcome. I had mentioned to the mayor and Will that last couple times I was in Hilo, we actually had nice weather. So I think you guys gave us a double shot of the rain. But this bill is important because it establishes a pilot project with the Board of Land and Natural Resources. And I really do want to thank the two board members who are here today to look at how we can revitalize the Hilo Community Economic District. It allows the opportunity for economic improvement by allowing leases to be extended for 40 years for those businesses that make a significant investment in their properties. We know and we have been talking about how can we create the opportunities for these businesses who are willing and able to invest in their businesses to be able to continue to operate where they've been for 97 years or longer. Well, I guess it's 50 years. It's only after the tsunami. So this measure does that. With natural disasters that have occurred, and the mayor and I have been really talking about the future of the Puna district and what we can do to create a vision of what happens in the wake of the devastation in Puna. I think this bill really talks about the future of Hawaii Island and really how we can create an economic driver for East Hawaii and Hawaii Island in general, so that we can have businesses that thrive, that last for 100 years or longer, that allows our people to be employed, have good careers and jobs, and keep the island of Hawaii, East Hawaii specifically, and most importantly, the community of Hawaii that allows us to be resilient and able to recover from natural disaster after natural disaster after natural disaster. So thank you so much for being here. I will sign the bill so that we can get on with everything. I did want to make one comment, and I'm proud to have been able to select Chris Todd as representative and have enjoyed seeing his involvement in this measure. And yes, I also had the opportunity to select Kai Kahele. So I think I'm pretty good at picking winners. Mahalo. So it is my honor and privilege to be able to sign Senate Bill number 3058, Senate Draft 2, House Draft 2, Conference Draft 1, a bill for an act relating to public lands. Yes, sorry, please. Yes. You know what, Chris? Stand. You guys want to come up to? Senate Bill 3058 is now law in the state of Hawaii as Act 149.
Mr. Mayor, you know, since you're our leader, I accidentally forgot to call you. But we have to have you say a few words, please.
I have to tell you what I was thinking while this was going on. I was looking at Governor Wahe and memories of Kalapana. We were sitting on the porch of a house that was going to be inundated soon, and we just was talking story about what was happening. And I don't want to make sadness out of such a beautiful time, so I'll just say, thank you to all the legislatures. Obviously, I don't know the whole complexity of what you had to go through to get where you are today. I just want to say thank you very much. In this special time, this morning's report was we're very close to losing 700 homes. And that doesn't even count the businesses and the land loss. So you don't know how much you are helping on that. I do want to take this time to thank Mike Fujimoto. We all know about the 20 homes built in a month, but I don't think too many people know that it was Mike and Hawaii Planing Mill that put that package together when he told me I will make sure that every single board and everything that needed to be pounded together is going to be done. And he did that, and he said, all we need is people with a hammer, and they did that. Thank you again very much.
Our hosts have provided some cacao and some refreshments, so please hang around, talk story, and we appreciate for you coming on this very momentous occasion. Aloha and drive safe.
Yes, I know that. Right on, brother. Thanks for your help. Thank you so much. Are you flying on a regular basis? Yeah, I am flying. I'll see you. Thank you. I spent 35 years as a bush pilot in Alaska. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Again, folks, don't forget, please, before you leave, there's some cacao and some refreshments.
Kilauea has been erupting since May 3rd, which has caused thousands of residents to evacuate from Leilani Estates, Vacation Land, and Kapoa Bay. Since the volcano became active in 1983, magma from the mantle has continually risen beneath the summit, passed through the magma store system and spewed out the summit towards the East Rift Zone. The U.S. Geological Survey has published an update on the current activity and hazard at and around the summit of Kilauea volcano. Over the next 2 months, the most likely activity includes earthquakes large enough to be damaging, as well as small to intermediate ash plumes that remain below 10,000 feet above sea level. A large section of the Halemaumau wall could abruptly collapse into the crater, but it will be difficult for USGs to predict how large the collapse might be. The collapse is most likely to create seismic shaking and a robust ash plume. If this activity continues, there may be more earthquakes exceeding the equivalent of 5.0 magnitude. There could be ash plumes and ash fall, as well as further large and sudden collapses into the expanding Halemaumau crater. The ground could crack and rockfall activity could continue along the steep caldera walls. People on the island may also be at risk of fog air pollution, although sulfur dioxide output is said to be approaching low pre-2008 levels. The most likely activity includes earthquakes large enough to be damaging, as well as small to intermediate ash plumes that remain below 10,000 feet above sea level. A large section of the Halemaumau wall could abruptly collapse into the crater, but it will be difficult for USGs to predict how large the collapse might be. The collapse is most likely to create seismic shaking and a robust ash plume. If this activity continues, there may be more earthquakes exceeding the equivalent of 5.0 magnitude. There could be ash plumes and ash fall, as well as further large and sudden collapses into the expanding Halemaumau crater. The ground could crack and rockfall activity could continue along the steep caldera walls. People on the island may also be at risk of fog air pollution, although sulfur dioxide output is said to be approaching low pre-2008 levels. Volcanologists are also considering less likely scenarios that cannot be ruled out. A larger explosion could occur during ongoing subsidence in and around Halemaumau. Activity could become more hazardous over short timescales, due to rapid pressure change or the opening of new pathways between the reservoir and the surface, as well as magma coming into contact with groundwater. Groundwater could enter the magmatic system and produce steam-driven explosive eruptions. If larger explosions do occur, their style and magnitude cannot be predicted. It is possible that they could produce more ballistics and ash, and possibly also pyroclastic surges. Pyroclastic flows are fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcano matter that can reach speeds of up to 700 kilometers, 430 miles per hour. Another possible scenario for Kilauea over the next couple of months is the sudden collapse of the broader caldera system and catastrophic failure of high caldera walls. Large explosive eruptions have occurred before in Kilaueas after caldera formation or during the last stage of its formation. Experts believe it is possible that these eruptions were triggered by the rapid collapse of caldera along caldera-bounding faults, large quantities of magma being spewed from the summit storage system. However, experts added there is no certainty that a larger, sudden collapse will definitely happen.